The Knicks are on fire right now. The Knicks exploded for 133 points on 47 for 98 shooting, powered by a relentless three-point attack and a mix of disciplined ball movement, interior strength, and opportunistic defense. Their effective field goal percentage landed at 48%, which undersells just how punishing their offense actually was. They launched 55 threes and connected on 22 of them, hitting at a 40% clip. That level of volume, combined with accuracy, stretched the Grizzlies' defense until it snapped. Despite the barrage of threes, they were just as sharp at the line. They hit 17 out of 20 free throws, 85%, showing control and focus in pressure moments, especially in the fourth quarter, when Memphis trimmed a 28-point lead down to 10. But the Knicks closed the door with strong finishes, clean possessions, and efficient scoring from multiple spots. Scoring was spread across the roster, with 5 players in double figures and a bench that added 32 points. Jalen Brunson led the way with 32 points on just 19 shots. That's 58% shooting overall, including 6 for 9 from deep. He also handed out 10 assists without a single turnover, making him the model of high-volume, mistake-free creation. And he made all 4 of his free throws, adding to his flawless stat. While Brunson operated as the team's offensive engine, Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns gave him 2 unique scoring partners. Bridges put up 22 points on 17 shots, shooting 47% from the field. He added 7 rebounds and 5 assists, filling multiple lanes on both ends. Towns dropped 21 points of his own on 17 shots, while securing 13 rebounds, giving him the team's most dominant presence inside. His 3 steals and 2 blocks were crucial in containing Memphis's interior scoring during stretches when the Knicks' perimeter defense eased up. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, OG, despite a cold night from 3, added 16 points while going 7 for 17 overall. He missed 9 of 10 from deep, but that didn't stop his impact. He recorded a team best plus-minus, a plus 24, a number that reflects just how important he was in controlling the game outside of his jumper. OG also grabbed 4 rebounds, dished 3 assists, and added 2 steals, making key defensive plays that disrupted Memphis runs and created fast break chances. The Knicks racked up 35 assists in total, meaning 74% of their made shots were assisted. That's a huge number. It means the ball wasn't sticking. Even with individual scores like Brunson, Towns, and Clarkson getting into rhythm, the offense ran through cuts, extra passes, and smart decision. It wasn't just beautiful basketball. It was mathematically effective basketball. On the glass, the Knicks outmuscled Memphis with 44 total rebounds. 10 of those were offensive, keeping possessions alive and adding second chance points to an already potent offense. Towns led the rebounding effort with 13, but others chipped in across the board. Bridges, OG, and Yabusele all contributed key boards to keep the Grizzlies out of rhythm. Jordan Clarkson's role off the bench was huge. He scored 13 points in just 17 minutes, going 5 for 7 from the field and hitting 3 of his 5 threes. That's over 70% shooting overall and 60% from long range. Clarkson brought instant energy in the second quarter, dropping 10 points in that frame alone, and his scoring spurt helped push the lead from manageable to overwhelming before halftime. Bench scoring wasn't limited to Clarkson. Miles McBride added 9 points on 6 3-point attempts, hitting 50% and spacing the floor for the second unit. Josh Hart's stat line was less about volume and more about balance. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He didn't shoot well, going just 2 for 7, but made all 3 free throws and contributed on both ends with his usual activity. Guershon Yabusele scored just 2 points, but added 6 rebounds, 5 defensive and 1 offensive, along with an assist and a steal. His plus-minus of plus 13 stood out as one of the best off the bench, a quiet but steady presence that helped limit Memphis's runs while giving the starters a breather. His 15 minutes weren't flashy, but they were effective. Landry Shamet, inserted into the starting lineup, made his touches count. He scored 10 points on 3 for 5 shooting, including 2 threes, and hit both of his free throws. That gave him a perfect night from the line and a solid 60% from the floor. He finished with a minus 11, the only starter in the red, which reflected more on the timing of his rotations than his performance. Despite some fourth quarter defensive slippage, the Knicks held Memphis to 120 points, largely due to their ability to force turnovers and convert them. They grabbed 12 steals and forced 14 total turnovers, which they turned into 19 points. Bridges, Towns, Hart, and OG all chipped in with steals. Towns added 2 blocks, giving the team a total of 2 on the night, but the real defensive disruption came at the perimeter. The pace and pressure of their offense had ripple effects on the other end. Memphis was pushed into rushed possessions, contested jumpers, and panicked passes. The Knicks' early 12-0 run to end the first quarter flipped the game's momentum, and that carried into the second. After going into the quarter tied at 30, they blew it open by halftime, leading 77-54. That 23-point cushion came from elite shooting, relentless pressure, and contributions across the board. Even when Memphis made a push, cutting the lead down to 10 in the fourth, the Knicks didn't panic. They went back to their bread and butter: smart passes, clean looks, and timely stops. Brunson hit key shots late. Bridges added some transition buckets, and Hart's energy on defense helped close out possessions. No one needed to dominate individually. They executed as a group. That's reflected in the way their offensive output was generated. Only 4 players took more than 10 shots: Brunson, Bridges, Towns, and OG. The rest of the team played within themselves, taking what the defense gave them. Clarkson and McBride combined to go 6 for 13 from deep, while Shamet and Hart provided timely makes. The fact that every player who touched the floor scored, and 7 players made at least 1 3, shows just how deep this attack ran. This wasn't just another high-scoring night, it was their 3rd consecutive game, scoring 130 or more points, setting a new franchise record. They've now averaged 130.2 points over the last 5 games at Madison Square Garden. That's not a fluke. It's a team clicking at all levels, from starters to bench. Defensively, they didn't post gaudy block numbers, but they controlled the pace with active hands and smart rotations. 12 steals tells the story of how well they read the game, from the wing defense of Bridges and OG to the interior presence of Towns and the versatility of Hart. They had answers for every look Memphis tried to throw at them, until the final frame, when the lead allowed for some slip-ups. Still, their assist-to-turnover ratio of 2.5 to 1 held firm, which is what kept them in control. Even when the Grizzlies made their push, every time Memphis got a little closer, Brunson settled the offense. Bridges attacked a closeout, or Towns cleaned up a possession with a post move or a rebound. It wasn't about highlights. It was about decisions. Their shot chart also backed up the balance. 43 two-point attempts and 55 threes isn't just a modern offense, it's a disciplined one. They didn't waste mid-range jumpers or forced contested drives. They attacked the rim, hit threes, and made free throws. The shooting splits were efficient across multiple areas: 40% from 3, 85% from the line, and 48% effective field goal overall. Those are numbers that translate to wins. Every starter made a contribution in at least 3 statistical categories, and every bench player that saw the floor either scored, rebounded, or facilitated. There wasn't a single passenger. That kind of collective production is what separates solid wins from dominant ones. The Knicks weren't relying on one player getting hot. They were executing a full team plan. Now, at 7-0 at home, they're off to their best Madison Square Garden start since the 2012 to 2013 season. The scoring is loud, but the efficiency is even louder. They're not just putting up numbers. They're doing it without wasted motion, without inefficient shot selection, and without letting go of the rope when things get tight. Whether it's Brunson's control, Towns' versatility, Bridges' steadiness, or Clarkson's quick spark, there's always someone to keep the machine running. The Knicks also made franchise history tonight with their 3rd straight 130-plus game. They've scored at least 77 points in a half for 3 consecutive games. That kind of pace isn't accidental. It's a function of the ball movement, floor spacing, and player trust that's shown up night after night. Even missing Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks didn't let up. Towns picked up the interior slack, and the rebounding didn't suffer. They kept Memphis to 1 shot on most possessions. And even when the fourth quarter got shaky, they stayed composed. This was a statement win rooted in execution, spacing, and balanced attack. The offense wasn't just hot, it was smart, unselfish, and relentless. With their 3rd straight blowout and a perfect home record intact, the numbers speak louder than anything else. But I want to talk about this. When Hart and Brunson are on the floor together, the ball moves so well. Jalen Brunson's ball handling ranks higher than 95% of all players measured by the 3 steps metric. That alone already puts him in elite territory when it comes to distributing the ball without coughing it up. He's averaging 6.2 assists per game and only 2.4 turnovers. That means his assist to turnover ratio sits at a really efficient number, and his total turnover percentage is just 9.48%. That's per 100 actions where he either takes a shot or turns it over. That's extremely low for a guy who's taking over 23 scoring actions a game. He's assisting on nearly 30% of his teammates' made field goals while on the floor, sitting at 29.79% assist rate. That's higher than 91% of players. He's creating 16.1 points per game just off his assists. That means when he's not scoring, he's still producing points at a high rate for the offense. And he's doing it while maintaining a low turnover clip, which keeps possessions alive and maximizes their offensive output. Every time he touches the ball, there's a high chance it ends in either a bucket for him or a bucket for someone else. That efficiency in decision-making is exactly why the ball moves so well when he's on the court. Now, when Josh Hart joins him on the floor, things get even more interesting. Hart's ball handling ranks higher than 81% of players, which might not sound as flashy as Brunson's number, but it's still well above average. He's averaging 3.4 assists per game, while only turning it over 1.5 times. His assist rate comes in at 18.49%, meaning he's assisting on nearly 1 out of every 5 field goals his teammates make while he's in the game. He's generating 9 points per game through his passing, and that's on only 7.3 scoring attempts. That's pretty efficient. What stands out even more is how their skills complement each other. Brunson takes on the bulk of the creation, but when Hart's out there too, he's a reliable secondary creator who can keep the ball moving without disrupting the flow. And he does that without needing the ball constantly in his hands. His turnover percentage is a bit higher at 17.14%, which is actually lower than just 23% of players, but the context matters. Hart isn't turning the ball over in critical volume. His role is to facilitate in transition, swing the ball, and keep plays alive. And he's doing that while still creating a decent amount of offense through assists. When both are on the floor, you've got one player in Brunson who's producing at a high level with top percentile passing metrics and very few mistakes, and another in Hart who's providing secondary support with decent passing numbers and moderate turnover. That kind of balance gives the team a double-layered passing engine. It's not just about who's getting the assists, it's about how few possessions are being wasted. Brunson's turnover percentage is especially impressive given his usage. He's touching the ball a ton and taking a lot of shots, but still keeps that turnover number way down. Looking closer at Brunson's scoring attempts, he's at 23.3 per game. That includes his shot attempts and the plays where he turns it over. With only 2.4 turnovers per game, that turnover rate is incredibly low for a player with that much responsibility. That's what sets him apart. Not just the raw assist totals, but the efficiency of his passing under heavy usage. It's hard to find other guards who are touching the ball that often and still maintaining a sub 10% turnover rate. That's where the real value lies. He's not just dishing out assists, he's doing it without draining the offense with giveaways. Hart, on the other hand, isn't handling the ball quite as much, but still gets the ball to open shooters and cutters without much delay. He's not racking up 6 or 7 assists, but the passes he makes are quick and usually come within the flow of the offense. And he doesn't need to dominate the possession to do it. He's adding those 3.4 assists while only taking 7.3 scoring actions himself. So he's creating offense almost as often as he's looking for his own shot. That shows discipline, and it's part of why their offensive efficiency climbs when he's on the court with Brunson. Brunson's passing numbers shine even brighter when you factor in how much of the team's overall offense he's driving. Nearly 30% of the team's field goals are assisted by him while he's on the floor. That's not just high, it's in the top tier of the league. Pair that with the 16.1 points created through his passing, and you're looking at a guy who's practically accounting for a huge chunk of the offense, whether he's scoring or passing, and the ball is safe in his hand. That's the key. Production without recklessness. Hart adds a stabilizing layer to that. His turnover percentage may be on the higher side, but his role requires fewer touches, and his mistakes don't come at high volume. Plus, his assist to turnover ratio still comes out solid, considering the limited number of possessions he's using. That allows the team to run secondary actions through him without worrying that the possession's going to end in a giveaway. That kind of reliability matters, especially when the other team is applying pressure or trying to force bad passes. When they're out there together, the ball doesn't stick. Brunson initiates with pace and purpose, using his dribble to draw defenders and find the open man, while Hart is constantly scanning and swinging. Hart's passing isn't flashy, but it's effective, and he's contributing to a consistent rhythm. He keeps it simple and direct, and that creates a ton of value in possessions where the first action breaks down. Instead of resetting and stalling, Hart keeps the offense flowing by making the right pass. And Brunson is nearly always in position to turn that next pass into points. Together, they make the offense click, by limiting turnovers and converting possessions into points at a high rate. And the numbers tell the whole story. Brunson is elite across the board, and Hart backs that up with reliable, complementary playmaking. It's not about highlight passes. It's about maximizing the value of each possession, and that's exactly what they're doing every time they share the floor. But then I want to talk about OG and Bridges' defense. OG ranks higher than 96% of players in mixed team defense, which means he's not just locking down his own matchups, but actively shrinking the floor for the entire opposing offense. That's both individual shutdown work and team-wide impact, all wrapped into one stat. His defensive metrics show how valuable he is at stopping plays before they even get off the ground. He's averaging 2.2 steals per game, which is an elite number, especially considering how cleanly he does it. He's not reaching or gambling wildly. He's just always in the right spot with active hands and perfect timing. He's also chipping in 0.7 blocks per game, and while that might not sound like a ton, for a wing player, it's actually pretty meaningful. He's not camping under the rim like a center. He's guarding on the perimeter, chasing shooters, switching onto ball handlers, and still managing to block shots. That speaks directly to his versatility. Then there's his defensive rebounding. He's pulling in 4.3 boards per game on that end. That's not just securing the stop, it's denying second chances and fueling the transition. You combine those steals, blocks, and rebounds with his elite on-ball defense, and you've got a guy who's wrecking entire possession. The team defensive efficiency when OG is on the floor is 108.9. That's how many points they're allowing per 100 possession. And compared to league averages, that's strong. That number tells you that when OG is out there, the other team just isn't scoring at the same rate. It's not a coincidence. It's the result of one player making life harder for everyone across from him. He cuts off drives, fights through screens, contests shots without fouling, and stays locked into his assignment for the full clock. That kind of consistent effort doesn't just help in one-on-one matchups, it elevates the whole unit. Then you've got Bridges. His mixed team defense rating places him higher than 74% of players, which shows he's also putting together both individual and team impact. He's averaging 1.2 steals and 1 block per game, giving him a well-rounded set of disruption tools. While his steal number isn't as high as OG's, Bridges makes up for it with strong contests and his ability to rotate quickly and snuff out looks on the weak side. His block number is at 1, and that's notable for a wing defender. Again, this isn't a rim protector padding stats. This is a perimeter guy, affecting shots all over the court. His defensive rebounding sits at 3.3 boards per game. He's not hauling down double digits, but he's helping to close out possessions by crashing the boards and boxing out at the right moments. The team's defensive efficiency when Bridges is on the floor is 115.0. It's not quite as low as OG's number, but keep in mind, Bridges has been asked to float across multiple assignments, often taking the more dangerous perimeter scorers while still rotating into help situations. He's being stretched defensively and still managing to hold his ground. When these two are on the floor together, the defensive ceiling spikes. OG brings the brute force, the elite timing, and the ability to erase individual matchups. Bridges adds the length, the footwork, and the court awareness that lets him slide into passing lanes or shut down secondary action. It's like having two walls that can also sprint, jump, and read the floor in real time. They're not duplicating each other's strengths, they're complementing them. OG's 2.2 steals per game become even more damaging when Bridges is lurking nearby. Teams can't swing the ball freely around the arc without someone getting a hand in the lane. And when OG pokes the ball loose, Bridges is right there to scoop it up or contest the next pass. They're forcing hesitation in ball movement. That's something that doesn't always show up in the box score, but it's visible in that defensive efficiency number. Teams are getting fewer clean looks, fewer quick passes, and fewer second chances. Bridges' 1 block per game also becomes more meaningful when OG is doing the dirty work up top. If OG cuts off the drive, Bridges is already reading the kick out or sneaking in for the help side contest. And if that shot does go up, OG's 4.3 defensive rebounds are ending the play more often than not. That's where their impact really shines. There's very little wasted effort. Every rotation, every contest, every switch is done with purpose. Look at the way OG's 0.7 blocks fit in. Again, he's not a center, but he's blocking shots on the perimeter and in transition. That puts even more pressure on offenses that are trying to get easy looks off of quick movement. There are just fewer soft spots when he's out there. Bridges supports that with long closeouts and the ability to switch without giving up ground. So when a team tries to use screens to free up their shooters, OG and Bridges Just swap assignments like it's nothing, and the possession ends with a bad shot or a scramble. That 108.9 defensive efficiency number when OG is on the floor isn't just about what he's doing individually. It's about how much he helps others around him. And Bridges is one of the biggest beneficiaries. With OG erasing one side of the floor, Bridges gets to gamble a little more. Go for the swipe, take a risk on a switch, try to cut off the passing lane. And with Bridges' quick reactions, that often leads to forced turnovers or wild heaves at the shot clock. Now flip it the other way. Bridges' 1.2 steals mean he's breaking up plays before they even get moving. And when that happens, OG can transition instantly into help, defense, clean up the play, or collect the rebound. They're covering for each other, but not out of desperation, out of system. That's what makes them special as a defensive duo. It's not just reaction, it's structure. Even in possessions where there's no steal or block, the numbers tell you the defense is still winning. That 115.0 defensive efficiency with Bridges isn't a bad number. It reflects the fact that he's often out there without OG, facing heavier usage. But when they're both on the floor, that efficiency number drops and the synergy becomes obvious. It's not just about being good defenders individually. It's about how they shape the offense they're facing. Teams can't target matchups as easily. Want to run a pick and roll to get away from OG? Well, now you've got Bridges waiting. Want to go one-on-one against Bridges? Good luck when OG is rotating over with that 7-foot wingspan. It becomes a game of bad options for the other side. That's what elite defense looks like. Not just highlight steals and blocks, but a steady suffocation of space and time. And that's what these numbers reflect. 2.2 steals, 0.7 blocks, and 4.3 defensive boards for OG. 1.2 steals, 1 block, and 3.3 rebounds for Bridges. And those defensive efficiency numbers are the scoreboard for all the stuff you don't always notice, like switching without fouling, tagging the roll man, or closing out without getting beat. Every one of those small decisions adds up over 100 possessions, and the result is fewer points on the board for the other team. It's not about highlight moments, it's about consistency. And when OG and Bridges are on the floor together, the consistency becomes pressure. Pressure on the ball, pressure on passing lanes, pressure on the clock. The other team has to work harder for every inch, every look, every trip to the rim. And eventually, that wears down even the most efficient offenses. That's why those mixed team defense rankings matter so much. OG is at the 96th percentile, Bridges at the 74th. That means OG is doing more than almost everyone in the league at both the individual and team level. Bridges is still doing more than most. And when you put them together, the whole becomes more dangerous than the sum of its parts. The numbers don't lie. They're shrinking the court, choking out clean looks, and turning defense into momentum every time they share the floor. But then I want to talk about the team scoring. Jalen Brunson is scoring 27.2 points per game, which ranks higher than 97% of players. That's not just high volume scoring, it's elite tier production every single night. He's hitting 6.9 2-pointers and 2.7 3-pointers per game on 20.8 shot attempts. That gives him a strong scoring load, and yet he still manages to stay efficient. His effective field goal percentage sits at 52.4%, which puts him ahead of 47% of players. That means he's getting more out of each shot than nearly half the league, even with defenses zoning in on him as the top option. When you include free throws into the mix, Brunson's true shooting percentage rises to 58.3%. That's above 56% of players, showing that he's finding ways to score even when the shots aren't falling. He's taking 6.2 free throw attempts per game and converting them efficiently, which raises his overall points per scoring attempt to 1.2. That's the kind of number you want from a high usage player. He's not just jacking up shots. He's turning his possessions into points at a consistent rate. Karl Anthony Towns is right behind him in terms of efficiency. He's scoring 20.7 points per game, which is better than 91% of players. He's hitting 4.8 2-pointers and 1.6 threes per game, taking 14.6 shots total. That puts his effective field goal percentage at 48.9%, which ranks higher than just 34% of players. So he's not as efficient from the field alone, but that's where the rest of his scoring tools kick in. Towns is getting to the line 7 times per game, which helps push his true shooting percentage to 58.5%. That puts him ahead of 57% of the league. So even though his effective field goal percentage is on the lower end, his ability to draw fouls and convert free throws keeps his overall efficiency strong. Just like Brunson, he's putting up 1.2 points per scoring attempt, which means he's still generating solid value out of every possession he uses. Now look at Bridges. And this is where things get wild. He's scoring 16 points per game, which is more than 81% of players. But what stands out is how efficient he is while doing it. His effective field goal percentage is a ridiculous 67%. That puts him higher than 87% of players, and it means he's getting 1.3 points per field goal attempt. That's insane efficiency for someone taking 10.8 shots a game. Break that down even more. He's hitting 3.2 two-pointers and 2.7 threes. So nearly half his scoring is coming from deep, and he's hitting those at a high clip. Add in 1.8 free throw attempts, and his true shooting percentage jumps all the way to 69.9%. That's top tier. It puts him above 87% of the league in scoring efficiency. And the points per scoring attempt come out to 1.4, which is the highest among all these players. Bridges is not just efficient, he's surgical. OG is right up there with him. He's scoring 18.2 points per game, which is better than 87% of players. He's hitting 3.62s and 3.1 threes per game, giving him a well-balanced attack. He's taking 13.6 shots per game and knocking them down at a clip that gives him an effective field goal percentage of 60.7%. That's better than 72% of players, and it shows he's consistently making the most of his looks. OG's true shooting percentage is 62.6%, which puts him ahead of 70% of the league. He's not getting to the line a ton, only 2.3 attempts per game, but that doesn't drag down his efficiency. He's still averaging 1.3 points per scoring attempt, which puts him in the same territory as Bridges. He's another guy who's scoring with precision, not just volume. What makes this group stand out is how well their scoring profiles complement each other. Brunson is the high volume, high responsibility scorer who's still putting up efficient numbers. Towns gives you strong secondary scoring with a great mix of post touches and jumpers, plus a steady stream of free throws. Then you've got Bridges and OG, two wings who are scoring nearly 20 points a game without needing a ton of touches. That's the blueprint for a well-balanced offensive core. Brunson's 20.8 shot attempts are the most of anyone here, and he's still getting 1.2 points out of each attempt. That tells you how efficient he's been despite the heavy load. He's not just chucking shots, he's making defenses pay on a regular basis. His scoring is steady, calculated, and relentless. You can build an offense around that kind of production, and it won't fall apart under pressure. Towns is giving you 20.7 points on fewer shots. That's 14.6 attempts per game, but still the same 1.2 points per scoring attempt. The big difference is that he's getting 7 free throws per game. That's where he's generating a lot of his efficiency. He might miss some jumpers, but he's putting defenders in tough positions and getting to the line. That kind of scoring helps settle the offense and keeps things flowing when the outside shots aren't falling. Bridges is the efficiency king here. He's scoring 16 points on just 10.8 shots. That's ridiculously efficient. He's the only one in the group getting 1.4 points per scoring attempt, and he's doing it without dominating the ball. His 67% effective field goal percentage means he's getting the most out of every jumper, especially from deep, and his 69.9% true shooting percentage is elite. He's the kind of player who fits in any lineup because he doesn't need volume, just space and timing. OG is right there with him, 18.2 points on 13.6 shots, with a 60.7% effective field goal percentage and 62.6% true shooting. That's extremely efficient for a player who's also taking on a defensive assignment every night. He's hitting 3 threes per game, which makes him a serious threat from beyond the arc. And he's scoring 1.3 points per attempt, just like Bridges. That kind of production adds a major scoring punch without putting extra stress on the offense. What stands out across all 4 players is the consistency in scoring efficiency. Brunson and Towns are both scoring over 20 points a game with 1.2 points per attempt. Bridges and OG are scoring 16 and 18 respectively with 1.3 and 1.4 points per attempt. That kind of balance lets the team score from every angle, off the dribble, in the post, on the catch, and from the line. And the shooting splits tell the same story. Brunson's making nearly 7 two-pointers and almost 3 threes every game. Towns is getting most of his scoring from inside with 4.82s and 1.6 threes. Bridges flips that with 3.22s and 2.7 threes. OG is dropping in 3.62s and 3.1 threes. Every one of them brings a different scoring profile, but they all contribute at a high level. They're efficient, they're versatile, and they're producing real numbers. Not just empty scoring, but efficient, high-impact scoring that moves the scoreboard and opens up the floor for everyone else. You've got Brunson carrying the main load, Towns backing him up with inside-outside balance, and Bridges and OG slicing through defenses with clean, precise scoring. And every single one of them is converting their possessions into points at an elite level. When you see this kind of production across the board, you know the offense isn't leaning on one hot hand. It's a group effort powered by elite efficiency, smart shot selection, and players who know how to get buckets without forcing the issue. Every scoring attempt matters, and these guys are making them count. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.